You know, I'm having another breakthrough in realizations of things. So the Tartarians were Nephilim, or were just very big people descended from the Nephilim. Just like the elites today are very big looking. Like the women that are really, you know, that have male bone structure on TV have giant freaking hands. They almost look like giants themselves, or descended from giants. So, you know, it's the Nephilim seed. Uh, you can tell they're not like us. They're the Nephilim, the giants, blood of the Nephilim. The Nephilim skulls are very big. The male Nephilim skulls. What they're gatekeeping is actually the Neanderthals are actually the Nephilim. There were no really Neanderthals. That's just a word for the Nephilim. And that's actually who's controlling who you see on TV are actually Nephilim. Or descended from them. You know, not as tall, but they still have the large bone structure that the Nephilim did. So the Neanderthals were really just the Nephilim. And they were cannibals. And the Tartarians are descended from these Nephilim. And they were probably cannibals too. They probably ate some of those Slavic slaves that they kidnapped from Ukraine. These Tartarians were probably cannibals. Just like the people that rule over us today are cannibals. So, I'm just starting to realize that maybe I'm from the Nephilim bloodline. I got a pretty large skull, pretty large brow ridge. I don't know. I guess some Europeans just have the big Neanderthal looking features, I guess. Uh, but the women on TV that are not really women, but are transgendered, all have really very large skulls, very large, very extremely broad shoulders. Some of them have extremely long necks. It's just all Nephilim giant features. Alien, not human features. I don't want to name any names because I don't want the algorithm to flag this video. So I just say the celebrities or people on TV. Well, these people are big. Like, they're really big people. Like, huge. Wide. Very broad. They look like linebackers. Their women look a lot like linebackers, to be honest with you. It's the blood of the Nephilim. To be on TV, you gotta be of the Nephilim bloodline. Andre the Giant was of the Nephilim bloodline. That's why he was a giant. Like, his giant skull. he had the Neanderthal giant features the Nephilim had. I just thinking of the Nephilim. The Nephilim of the flood probably basically looked like Bigfoot. They probably had, looked kind of like Andre the Giant or bigger. They had really hairy bodies, like Sasquatch. There's even a character in Marvel Comics, basically, it's like Sasquatch. His name is Sasquatch. Actually, that's his name. He's just this giant hairy monster. That's what all these Nephilim were, just very hairy. What we know today is Neanderthals are really just the Nephilim. That's the new realization that I'm having. I don't believe in evolution. But I do believe that there are some people today there are some Nephilim features that are noticeable. The Nephilim were hunters. They were like wolves. They hunted humans. Just like the Tartarians, they hunted humans. The Nephilim, before the flood, they hunted humans. They ate them. They interbred with other women. They went basically on raids, just like the Huns did after the flood, because the Huns were the Nephilim bloodline. And they were basically barbarians, like Neanderthals, that were giants, had hair all over their bodies like Sasquatch, and basically were like beasts. They had basically like Bigfoot, giant feet, giant footprints, and they were man-eaters. And I don't know, I feel like I have some kind of like knowledge of this that I'm not supposed to know, that I know. And yeah, they were man-eaters. Another thing I think they could do is they could run for they had unlimited, like, tons of stamina to run. So they could cross entire continents. Like they could run. Another thing I think they did is these Nephilim probably mounted these dragons, or what we know as dinosaurs, which are really just dragons. So they probably rode on these dragons, terrifying the shit out of all the pre-flood humans and shit. Basically, using flying on these dragons to basically torch towns, and basically, have you ever seen Grendel from Beowulf, where he's eating this man-eater? These Nephilim, they would raid these towns. They would torch the towns. They would raid everything, steal everything, eat the humans, and then leave, pretty much. And it would just be like blood, a bloodbath. And God got so tired of all the violence. I think he got so tired of all the violence and horror that he flooded the world to destroy these Sasquatches, pretty much, I think. But somehow there was Sasquatch type men like Goliath after the flood. Actually, I don't know how that could be, but somehow they survived. There's also another type Nephilim, giant type beast, tail of the Wendigo, which is like from Canada. It's a man-eating beast, just just like the Nephilim. The Nephilim, they were probably like beast tamers. They probably tamed like these giant dragon type dinosaur beasts. They probably like, you know, kept them in like cages and stuff, or kept them in like enclosures and like tamed them. They were like beast riders probably, and they could do a lot of stuff that normal humans couldn't do. And they were just better at humans, normal humans, and all stuff, and just basically were just like they were just they would just scare the shit out of the pre-flood humans. So it makes sense. Why do you think they would build a city like Atlantis? To get away from the Nephilim. So the Nephilim couldn't get to them, because the Nephilim probably couldn't swim. The giants couldn't swim, so they probably wanted to build a city in the ocean, a city in the middle of the ocean or something like that, so that the giants couldn't get to them. And that's the reason why they started building walls, for cities, is because these giants and their dragons were constantly trying to lay siege to their cities. So they had to build castles and forts and fortresses to defend themselves from these Sasquatches. And they were basically just a complete, horror on the whole world. I ain't really gonna even say if there's an ice age or not, because I really don't even honestly trust science. We really don't even know if there really was an ice age. But we do know there was a global flood event. And we know that the majority of these Nephilim giants were killed off. These Sasquatches. But that's just most likely that they were just these hairy beasts, Sasquatch type looking things. Ape, looking men. That's pretty much it. Just some new revelations about the Nephilim giants, some new discoveries that I think I've learned.